Brilliant. I feel like if they gave Zoe's abilities cooldowns, that would fix a lot of my complaints.
Ooh, don't go heavy yourself. That's not possible. Careful, Hirsch. Oh, we're walking up to him.
Okay.
They will greet you as heroes.
Seriously, I want you guys one day to look at what Zoe's W actually does, because it will actually blow your mind how much that ability does. Stop and just look at the sheer fucking retardery and lowly fetish bullshit that Riot has done with this champion. Just stop for a second. Don't look at anything else. Just stop and look at only this. I'm not gonna argue anything else. Just look at this one aspect of the champion. Zoe's W, even after the nerf, does more damage than Ahri's W. All Ahri's W does is damage. That's literally it. That's all it does. And Zoe's W does more. Just look, like I'm not gonna argue anything else. Just look at that. Look at what this ability does, and know that even with all this shit going on, it still does more damage than Ahri's W. The fact that this champion still exists in the game is absurd to me. By the way, her W has 2 passives. So, just so we're clear, in addition to doing more damage than Ahri, it has a passive and a second passive. This is honest to God, dude. I'm not trying to exaggerate. This is probably the most hilarious thing, single ability Riot has ever released. It is probably the most broken ability that League of Legends has ever had. Even after like 3 nerfs in a row, it is still the most broken ability that League of Legends has ever had. And put it this way, if Jack started the game with an Essence Reaver, his kit would still be weaker than Zoe's. Zoe's kit is probably the most busted thing that has ever existed at any point in all of League of Legends history. That champion, like, in order to make this champion balanced, so that she's not just an automatic pick ban in competitive play, like, for starters, maybe she shouldn't have 92 health and 3.5 armor per level. That's just for starters. Maybe she shouldn't have tanky base stats, okay? That's like step fucking 1. In my opinion, the first thing they should do for Zoe is lower her health per level to 80, lower her armor per level to 3. The second thing they should do is remove the bonus movement speed from Spell Thief. That means this only gets a summoner spell and a good single target nuke. That's all it'll get. I would say AoE 2-second stun is less overpowered than what Zoe's W does. Just so we're clear, Zoe's W steals every summoner you use, every item you use, and then every single time she activates it, she then nukes you for damage, then gains 70% movement speed for 3 seconds. This is why I say, one of the reasons that Zoe is so broken, every single time they nerf her, people just remember how broken she is and start playing a little bit better. Oh, I totally forgot that my W gives me movement speed. I totally forgot that. But I truly don't believe Zoe can be balanced in her current state, ever. The champion is so overstat. It's incredible. I've seen this before, where basically some concept is so broken that nerfing them actually just makes them stronger. because people aren't even playing it very well. I've seen this before in video games. It's just so overpowered. Something is so overpowered that it actually starts to look balanced because anyone who plays it plays poorly. Like it's just so broken that people actually won't use it well, because it's like I said before. If you can play well enough with something, if you can do good enough with something, you'll never learn to do better than good enough. Because good enough for most people is, shockingly, good enough. And that's ignoring the obvious. If you're a gold player, and you're playing at a gold level, and you're using a champion so overpowered it could take you into what? Platinum? Diamond? Just because it's so overpowered it could take you that high up? You'll be like, oh, I'm a gold player and I became plat 5. Like, wow, I'm doing really good. I went up 1 or 2 divisions. But what you don't realize is, oh, actually, you could be in diamond. Like, the champion is so overpowered, you could actually just be in diamond. And in my opinion, that's what Zoe is right now, in my opinion. She is so broken that people don't realize how broken she is, because people playing her are content just with regular levels of broken. And this continues even into competitive play. Look at her in competitive play. Did they those little bit of buffs to get her back to be viable, right? And the competitive player were like, yeah, okay, I guess she's playable. And then she was pick banned, so Riot nerfed her. And then she was still pick banned, so Riot nerfed her. And then she was still pick banned, so Riot nerfed her. So here's a champion who even the competitive players were like, yeah, I think she's playable now. Meanwhile, she was actually, no, she wasn't playable. She was actually just completely out of this world broken. I'm talking even into like the LCK. Even the LCK players were like, yeah, she's pretty good now. Like, she's playable now, yeah, sure. Let me just say it's also proliferated when a champion has a deceptively, what do you want to call it? It's got a deceptively high skill cap. When a champion doesn't really have a high skill cap, but it seems like they have a high skill cap. Was that worth it? That's what I was saying. There are champions who have what I would call a deceptively high skill cap. A champion who seems hard on their surface, but really isn't hard to play, but is hard to memorize. That'd be a champion like Jace. Oh, the Jace players will say, I have to learn combos though. But why is it hard to memorize a combo? Especially when all you're doing is repeating it. Especially when the combo isn't even particularly hard to do. He's just trying to kill one of us with ult.
Bring it on.
We got him, but I lost all my CS, so... But yeah, in summation, I've definitely 100% seen shit like Zoe happen. I've seen that all the fucking time, in fact. A champion is so broken that people don't realize it's broken because, yes, Riot 100% needs to buff Jax. There's no excuse anymore. They nerfed his late game with the Sterix change. They nerfed his early game with the Conqueror change. His win rate's gonna be down at like 48%. You know, at what point do you just say, fuck the community, they're a bunch of goddamn retards, and ignore them? No, but Doctor's overpowered. He's overpowered. He ran at my AD carry that one time and he was overpowered. I've never in my life heard like low elo players say Jax isn't overpowered. Like, never in my life has there been a time where people have been like, no, Jax is actually totally balanced. When Jax was sitting at 42% win rate after his season 4 nerfs, what did people say? Well, he's still overpowered. What? Why did I stop moving? I fucking had him dead to rights! And now my camera's stuck. Yeah, Jax is actually on the weaker end of champions, I would say, right now. Yeah, he's stronger than the most champions. I would guarantee about 2/3 of the roster is currently stronger than Jax. I wouldn't put him down there with, like, Volibear, but I would put him down there with, like, Nasus at this stage. And in fact, I would actually say with the current buffs, Nasus is actually probably the stronger champion.
Bring it on.
Like, of champions I would really like if my opponent played, I would really enjoy it if my opponent played Jax. Because at this stage, I would pretty much consider it to be a free win. The problem I think a lot of people don't realize... Oh, thank you, Alawi kid. People think Jax is like a cheese pick or something that beats, like, he only beats 80 carries, that's all he does. But, here's the thing. Look at any given team, and it will be rarer to find a champion totally, like that, a champion that just 100% ignores Counter-Strike. A champion that does not interact with Counter-Strike. It's rarer to find that champion than to find a champion who Counter-Strike can really fuck with. Even mages. Most mages require some auto attack at some point for their abilities. Ziggs does, Zoe does, Kassadin does, Twisted Fate does. And that's just off the top of my head, you know? I mean, mages who just 100% do not interact with Counter-Strike. Even Annie, you Counter-Strike, you reduce the AoE damage of her combo. 2/3 of her damage is AoE. So the only champions who just, like, ignore Counter-Strike as a concept are, like, Vel'Koz because of his true damage, and, yeah, Ahri. Ryze. So there you go. You got, like, Vel'Koz and Ryze. Those are, like... It's like, but you see what I'm saying? It's like so rare to find champions who just do not interact with Counter-Strike. What do you mean 1v3 I still get the kill? No, that's basically a 1v1 except Jarvan ulted, which, by the way, that ult actually tricked Kled into thinking that he should come back into the fight. Azir is fucky. You don't Counter-Strike his soldiers, but to my knowledge, you will reduce their damage because they're considered AoE. Unless it's a patch where for some reason they're not considered AoE, then you don't reduce their damage. Yeah, even Victor. Can't Q him. Like, there's so many champions. Is this a good idea? Fuck if it's a good idea. Okay, that shield really fucked with my day. No, I still got a kill. And that's what I intended the whole time, Twitch chat. Swain. Does Swain interact with Jax? I don't think he does. Well, that's not entirely true, because if you Counter-Strike his ult, you reduce it damage. Come on, guys, I'm dying for you. Aw, you jackasses. Swain can't pull Jax with passive if Jax uses E. I didn't know that, actually. So he does interact with them. Malzahar, you dodge his Voidlings. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, everyone pretends that Jax is just some niche that just only fights bruisers and AD carries. There's so many champions he interacts with. There's so many. Talia, if you Counter-Strike her knock-up, you actually reduce all that damage. Maybe. Depends on the patch. Again, these things do tend to change patch by patch. I'm not trying to, like, be annoying, but yes, they do. This stuff changes wildly patch by patch. Now think about how many champions, in addition to, think about it this way, in addition to how many champions Counter-Strike interacts with, as in you can dodge their abilities, now think about how many champions have ways to counterplay Counter-Strike, just off this game alone. Kled can eat through him, speed boost, get the other side. With the 1 second before you can unleash it, that's very doable. He can also Q and kite it out. I play Kled, I do this a lot. Xin Zhao can ult him away. If he's attacking Jax, well then he's fucked. But, you know, sometimes you're just fucked. Jarvan, EQ away, very simple. W, walk away. Vayne, I mean, that one's pretty obvious, just stealth. Vel'Koz, once again, Counter-Strike has a 1 second, you know, duration, if you will, before you can activate it. So if Jax leap strikes at you, you knock him away with your knockback. If he's already next to you, well then you've probably fucked up. Graves, smokescreen, E, ult, all ways to get out of it. Talon, stealth, E over a wall. Pike, stealth, movement speed, E. In what world was he gonna walk up to a Jax with Essence Reaver, with Conqueror procced up, with full passive, and not die? In what world, Twitch? In what world was that gonna happen?